She slept with my father, then blamed me for not making her feel alive. I was frozen until she said, "You're just not enough." So I invited them both on a family cruise and let them believe I forgave them. At dinner, I raised my glass and said, "To new beginnings." As the ship turned back to shore, they realized what was missing from their room and rushed out because I'm from Sandusky, Ohio. Grew up in a small house 2 blocks from the lake. My dad, Mark, owns a garage. Ran it with grease under his nails and a pack of smokes rolled in his sleeve. He's the kind of man people go to for car trouble and small-town gossip. My mom, Dana, was the glue. She worked long shifts as an ER nurse, but never missed a birthday or Sunday dinner. I was their only kid. Growing up, I looked up to my dad. Maybe more than I should have. He taught me how to throw a curveball, how to rebuild a carburetor, how to shake a man's hand and look him in the eye. He had flaws, sure. A temper. He drank more than he should. But I thought he loved us. Then there was Shelby. We met at a wedding. She was the maid of honor. I was just a guest, holding a cheap beer and avoiding the dance floor. She came over, made fun of my tie, and that was it. We were together for 5 years. Lived in a fixer-upper house I poured my savings into. I thought we were building something real. She worked at a vet clinic, loved dogs, wanted 2 kids and a golden retriever. She smiled easy and kissed me like she meant it, until she didn't. I didn't see it coming. There were small things. She stopped asking me how my day was. Said she was tired more often. My dad started stopping by when I wasn't home, dropping off tools, or just checking in. I didn't question it. Why would I? Until one day, I came home early. It was a Tuesday. I remember because Tuesdays were slow. My job's in HVAC, mostly commercial units, and the client canceled last minute. So I picked up a couple of sandwiches and headed home. I opened the front door. Heard noises. At first, I thought it was the TV. Then I heard her voice. I stepped into the living room and saw them. Shelby. My dad. He was on top of her. On my couch. They didn't see me right away. I froze. Time stopped. I dropped the sandwiches. The bag hit the floor like a rock. They both looked at me. Shelby screamed. My dad pulled away like a kid caught stealing. I didn't say a word. Just turned and walked out. 3 months. That's how long I stayed silent. I moved in with Kyle, a buddy from high school who lived above his dad's bait shop. It was small, smelled like fish and motor oil, but it was better than breathing the same air as either of them. Shelby texted, called, showed up once, crying. I didn't open the door. Then, out of nowhere, she came to my job. I was wrapping up a service call at a dental office when she showed up in the parking lot. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. Not anymore. Ben, she said, you didn't even let me explain. Explain what? It wasn't just sex. I stared at her. I didn't trust myself to speak. He made me feel alive, she said. You haven't, not for a long time. I felt like I'd been kicked in the gut. Then she said it. You're just not enough. I didn't reply. I couldn't. Something in me broke right then and there. That night, I sat in my truck for an hour before going back upstairs to Kyle's place. I thought about all the years I spent loving her. All the birthdays, holidays, anniversaries. The money I saved for a ring. The way I defended her when people said she was a little too friendly with my dad. Not enough? I didn't scream. I didn't punch a wall. But I made a plan. I didn't come up with the cruise idea right away. At first, I just wanted to disappear. Let them rot in their guilt. But guilt fades. People move on. I knew my dad. He'd spin it into some twisted story where I drove Shelby away, where he helped her find what I couldn't give. I needed something that would stick. That's when I saw the flyer. It was taped to a gas pump. Lake Erie to the Atlantic, a family cruise adventure. 2 weeks. Meals included. Scenic stops. Group dinners. Reconnect with your loved ones, it said. It clicked right then. I could give them exactly what they wanted. I'd forgive them. Fake it. Sell it. And then take everything away. First step, reach out. I texted Shelby. I want to talk. She answered within a minute. We met at a diner off Route 6. She looked tired. Older. Like the thrill had worn off. I miss you, she said, holding my hand. I pulled it back. I've been thinking, I told her. Maybe we rushed into anger. Maybe we didn't really understand what happened. She leaned forward. You mean, we could try again? I didn't smile. Just nodded. I want to go on a trip. All 3 of us. A clean slate. Her eyes lit up. That weekend, I called my dad. I'm tired of being angry, I said. We should talk. Like men. He paused, then said, I'd like that. I told him about the cruise. Said it was a peace offering. To start over, I told him. He was quiet for a second, then said, I'll pay for the rooms. Of course he would. I booked 3 rooms. One for me, one for them, one under a fake name. I needed space to plan. On the first night, I brought out a bottle of wine at dinner. To new beginnings, I said, raising my glass. They smiled. Clink theirs with mine. Shelby was wearing a blue dress I bought her 2 Christmases ago. My dad had on his dumb Hawaiian shirt like he was trying to play the part of fun stepdad. We made small talk, laughed, took pictures. I made sure they felt safe. Then I started picking. Small things at first. I asked Shelby if she remembered the hotel in Chicago. She said yes. I said, that was with me, not him. She laughed awkwardly. I asked Dad if he still used that old watch Mom gave him for their anniversary. He patted his wrist. Every day. I smiled. That night, while they were out watching a movie on the deck, I used the spare key from housekeeping. Went into their room. Took the watch. Took the ring Shelby still wore on a chain. And I left something in their safe. A note. Handwritten. You're not enough either. Next day, we docked in Maine. Lobster rolls. Shopping. More smiles. They didn't notice the missing items until the 3rd night. I was already on my 2nd drink when Shelby came storming into the dining hall. Did you take my necklace? I blinked. What necklace? She turned to my dad. Your watch is gone too. His face turned red. Ben, what's going on? I leaned back. Calm. Why would I take anything? I forgave you both. Remember? Shelby grabbed my arm. Don't play games. I looked her dead in the eye. Isn't that what this whole thing was? One big game. She froze. I stood up. To new beginnings, I said again, but this time, there was no smile. After that night, things shifted. They didn't say much at breakfast. Shelby picked at her food. My dad was quiet, his coffee shaking in his hand. I stayed cool. Made conversation with the old couple next to us like nothing was wrong. Later, I caught Shelby trying to open the safe in their room again. She didn't know I'd changed the code. I watched from the hallway through the cracked door. They didn't tell security. Not yet. Maybe they were scared it'd bring everything out in the open. That someone would ask why I might want to hurt them. But they were on edge now. Good. It was just beginning. Day 6. The ship docked near Boston for a day trip. We had the option to go into town or stay for the onboard wine tasting. I chose to stay. So did they. I asked them to meet me in the lounge. I had something planned. When they arrived, I handed them each an envelope. Inside was a printed photo of the 3 of us, me, Shelby, and Dad, sitting around the table back home. Mom had taken it the last Christmas before she passed. She had no idea what would happen. She never knew. If she had, it would have killed her. They looked confused. What is this? My dad asked. I pointed to the photo. That was the last time I remember being happy. Before you both decided I didn't matter. Shelby looked away. I said I forgave you, I continued. I didn't. Not really. My dad leaned forward. Ben, we made a mistake. No, I cut in. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. You planned this. You stole my future. Then I stood and left them there. That night, I turned up the heat. Literally. I called in a fake maintenance request to the ship's staff. Said there was an issue with the thermostat in their room. I offered to handle it. Said I was an HVAC. The crew member shrugged and let me in. I jacked the heat to the max setting. Broke the adjustment knob. They returned after dinner to a sauna. Next morning, they both looked miserable. Sweaty. Tired. Shelby's makeup was smudged. My dad looked pale. I acted concerned. You guys okay? I asked, holding a fresh mimosa. Shelby mumbled something about bad sleep. I nodded. Shame. You'd think a luxury cruise could handle the basics. Then came the final setup. I waited until we were sailing back south, 2 days before port. That's when I booked us a private dinner at the captain's table. Exclusive. Classy. Just the 3 of us. I made sure they got there first. I showed up 10 minutes late, carrying a small black bag. Sat down. Opened the bag. Pulled out the watch and the necklace. Set them on the white linen tablecloth. My dad's jaw dropped. Shelby gasped. Where did you? She started. I cut her off. They weren't yours to keep. She reached for the necklace. I pulled it back. These belonged to someone who believed in love and family. You 2 don't qualify. My dad stood. We tried to fix things. I shook my head. No, you tried to forget. I made sure you wouldn't. Then I raised my glass. To new beginnings. They still didn't know what I had planned for the next morning. They thought the worst was over. They were wrong. I'll continue now, leading into the climax and setting the stage for the final revenge. The next morning, the ship began turning toward its final port, Norfolk, Virginia. 2 more days, then it would all be over. But I wasn't done yet. That night, I made my final move. I'd been talking to a guy named Trevor from Florida. He was mid-40s, used to be in private security. Told me some stories about catching cheaters, running sting operations for lawyers. I bought him a few drinks, got him talking. Turns out, Trevor had a drone. We flew it just once, from the top deck while the staff was busy with an evening dance class. Got a sweeping shot of the ship, then dipped lower. Just enough to catch through the balcony window of my dad and Shelby's room. They were arguing. Loud. I couldn't hear it, but I could read lips. Shelby was saying, "He's trying to ruin us." My dad replied, "We ruined him first." Trevor looked at me. "You want this footage? Email it to me," I said, "and delete your copy." I used the ship's Wi-Fi to upload it to a shared Google Drive, with a link ready to go. The next morning, I asked my dad and Shelby to meet me at breakfast. They hesitated, but showed. I handed each of them a small envelope. "What is it this time?" Shelby snapped. "Your future," I said. Inside was the link to the video, written on a card, and a note that said, "This footage goes to every one of your clients, your work, your families, if you ever contact me again." My dad went pale. Shelby's lip trembled. I stood up. "I want you to live with what you've done, not hide from it. You wanted to feel alive? Now feel this." I walked out and didn't look back. 2 weeks later, the video made it to my mom's old church group. I never sent it, but someone did. The pastor resigned. Why? Turns out he'd been counseling Shelby and my dad. Once folks saw who he was helping, he got run out. My dad's business dried up fast. No one wanted their oil changed by a man who slept with his son's fiancée. Shelby got fired from her clinic. Reputation matters in small towns. And me? I moved out of Sandusky. Took a job in Tennessee. I don't have much, but I sleep better now. They thought they could burn my life down and walk away clean. Now they know better. And every time they look at each other, they'll remember they lost everything. Because I wasn't enough? No, because they weren't worth keeping.